You're listening to the Breakaway Wealth Podcast, the show that helps you build wealth faster, think outside the box, and break out of the herd. Here's your host, Jim Oliver. Welcome back, Breakaway Wealth. I'm your host, Jim Oliver, and with me today, Teshra Robles. Did I say that right, Teshra?
You said it perfect, yes.
All right. We only
I won't let you say it again.
Once or twice. All right, before we get started, Teshra, tell the audience a little bit about you and what's one of your unique abilities and how you help people.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Jim, for having me. I'm really, really honored. And so a little bit about me. I am the mother of 5. I have 4 sons, and then I have a daughter. She's about to turn 17. She's my last. So I've done the whole first dream job, stay-at-home mom, raise the kids. Yes. And then I was real fortunate my background is in accounting before the kids. And then kind of after the kids got a little bit older, got into banking. So I was in banking for close to 11 years. And then realized that it was time to get out and start doing Teshra. As much as I loved my dream job as being a stay-at-home mom, I loved my dream job being in banking. Now it's time to go on to my dream job that I think God has called me into with all of that experience over those years. And that is helping people organize their personal finances. Because as we both know, everybody's out there trying to make more money to fuel their life, their freedom, their give back legacy. They've got to have that foundation of being really organized with those personal finances. And it's usually the piece of the puzzle that's missing in most people's lives. So yeah, I grew up in Hawaii, moved to San Diego, and now I live in heaven, which is right next to, we've got Canada, Idaho, and Montana. So I'm right there. So so as I sit in my office right now, I can kind of see Canada right there, and it's just absolutely beautiful up here. So
that's amazing. I bet it is beautiful. I'll come up and visit like in August. How's that?
Okay. So we have an amazing golf course is all I can tell you. So don't miss it.
I love it. When we were at a conference a month or so ago up in Idaho, and I was freezing. I had to buy extra clothes. Yeah. So it's funny when you I spent the first year in Florida. I didn't wear long pants. I just wore shorts every day. And I just wanted to see, hey, I can do that now. Now my body's adjusted. I'm not hot like that all the time. I got to wear pants because I get cold.
Yeah, there you go.
All right. So I love what you just said. And, I think that organization of your money and knowing where your money is going is so important. As you know, I'm writing a new book. It's almost out. I sent you a copy of the manuscript, and it's talking about taking ownership of your personal life, really. And so that's kind of what you're talking about. Is one of the ways that you take ownership is organizing and know what's coming in and what's going out. So why don't more people spend at least an hour a week with their money? Like they just ignore it. It's almost like taxes. Like unless somebody gets a letter from the IRS, they just ignore it, right?
They do. Yeah. So I got a couple of theories. My first theory is they're in denial, that they think they make more money than they actually do. And so they spend. When you go out to eat at a restaurant, and you think you make all this money and you have a lot to spend, you're going to order appetizers, a couple of drinks, dessert, big old meal, maybe pay for your friend's meal. That's all great and fine and dandy if you can do that. However, if you're somebody who doesn't make a lot of money or somebody who is wanting to make a change with a lot of your money and you don't realize how much you're spending on your meals, then that makes a huge difference. So then you're in denial. So you're like, okay, I don't really want to talk about that. I want to keep doing what I want to do, and not really knowing the full picture of what's going on. My other theory is that somehow culture has made it so that the chase after your life freedom and your big money and the American dream is more important than sitting down with a good stewardship and learning about opportunity cost and knowing the basic foundations of what money can and can't do for you. I love what you were talking about in your book about opportunity cost, because you can't have it all. Either, you can have $1 billion in the bank, or you can spend $1 billion on your space exploration, but you can't have both. They both have to give. So I think people, culturally, it's not important. You will go to the gym. You will get your nails done. You will not miss that appointment with your therapist. But to sit down an hour with your money is not even on their radar. It's not an appointment in their calendar. And if it is, they'll skip it. they'll put it off and do something else. So those are my two theories.
So I like that what you were saying about people just won't spend the time, but like the um why don't people know, like there are systems out there that would tell you exactly where every penny goes, right? So why don't people, what do you think is the reason people don't want to know that?
Well, I think that there's probably they have nasty emotional connections to money. All the money gurus will talk about, what's your first experience of money, and then that has filtered through your whole life. I think that's all good and dandy, but I think that's more of an excuse. But I do think that's kind of the reason is they have some sort of emotional attachment. It's not enough. It's too much. It's too complicated. It's the fuel for everything, and they don't like that. Whatever that is, kind of sits there in their brain, and so maybe they avoid it. However, we're all big boys and big girls, and it's time to, get our shit together, which is my phrase,
Yeah.
and just look at it and see what it is. But then again, when you've got Wells Fargo who's telling you that here's how the breakdown of all of your money and your credit cards and all the money that's going through here. And you've got your, miles card and they're telling you all the breakdown. And you got your bank account that's telling you the breakdown. You've got all these people and your without their hands in your money, and it's not all in one system to see it in one place. And so my clients get together with me and we look at how much they spent on meals or how much they spend on health supplements in a quarter period. They are shocked because it's never all in one spot for them to see. Yeah, did you know you just dropped 10 grand on 20 different health supplements that you were just piecemeal trying? What if you took that 20 grand, put it into some of your insurance policies you talk about in your infinite banking? What if you took some of that money and gave it back to your church? What if you took some of that money and put it into your children's dreams that they want to do? But if you don't realize you're spending that, then okay. And then we get into the married couples where they neither know what's going on. So that's a whole nother ball game. So conversation.
No, I
What
love
is
that.
it?
So, like you brought up the gym. So let's talk about that for a second. Because,
Mhm.
one of the first things that if you're going to a nutritionist or maybe a trainer is and you ask them for, hey, what should I be eating? What do I need to change?
Mhm.
The first thing they do is they tell you, write down everything that you put in your mouth for the next week or something.
Exactly.
Right. And
Exactly.
and I know
Mhm.
there's been, money people out there that have said that before, right? Back in the day, we'd have like these
Mhm.
little books and it would say, hey,
Yeah.
just grab one of these books and write down everything that you
Yeah.
spend money on, every penny. And it's that accountability that it seems like people really don't want. And I got to tell you a funny story. So this friend of mine down here, he would, say, hey, like, well, what are you taking? What supplements are you taking? What are you taking? And I say, well, I'm not like taking anything special. I take creatine, like
Yeah.
and but I said, but the biggest thing is I bring in 200 grams of protein a day or something like that.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I said, and I don't have junk in my house, so I don't eat it. If it's here, I'll
Yeah.
eat it. And
Mhm.
so he says, I just can't get under 240 pounds. And it's like blah, 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 blah. And I said, and he goes, the only thing that I eat bad is, I had a Dove bar, I have the mini Dove bar like before I go to bed. And his wife looks at me and she says, he has four of them. It's,
Yeah, the truth.
so, so the point is that, yeah,
Yeah.
you're eating more than you think, you're spending more than you think, and you're spending it where you don't think you are, right?
Yeah.
What's the
Exactly.
one area that, and you mentioned one earlier, but what's the one area that people are shocked? They're like, what? I don't spend that much money on that.
Yeah. I think it usually comes down to meals.
Yeah.
They're definitely shocked about their meals. And I have one client who they were shocked, but they also love to eat out every other day. And so
Mm.
they took a step back and they went, you know what? This isn't about people telling you you shouldn't spend a lot of money on eating out. This is about figuring out what is important to you. So they actually decided to cut down some of their other areas in order to make sure that they could continue spending tons of money eating out because they met with their friends, they met with their family members. That was what they love to do.
Mm.
And so that's what I love about what I do is it's not about what society tells you is good or bad. It's what you tell yourself is good or bad. But how do you know if you're not working with all of the correct details? All the cards on the table. We've heard that phrase. So,
Yeah. So I love that. By the way, the eating out and the not being able to get it below a certain weight might be go hand in hand too. That might
Yeah,
be your
it
your
might definitely.
excuse me, your money
Yeah,
and your health might be tied together closer than we think.
I
So
know, probably, yes.
so okay, tell me the process like that you take somebody through. Like if somebody, first of all, how does somebody reach out to you?
Yeah, so people can reach out to me. They can hit me up at my website, which is teshradou.com, DOYOU. I'm a big believer in you can't be what you want to be. That's a load of crock. You need to do what you want to do. We can't sit on the couch and say, I would love to be a principal ballerina and voila, it's going to happen. You got to get yourself up and go do stuff. So that's where also they can reach out to my email, which is teshradou@gmail.com. Real simple. And so the process I take them through is let's talk about what your urgency is. What's keeping you up at night? 9 times out of 10, it's I make all this money and I don't know where it goes. And there's changes I want to make. I want to take a trip. I want to retire early. I want to quit my W 2 job. Okay. So those are the urgency things. So then let's look at what system are you using to see where your money's going? And usually I get one of two answers. I don't have a system, or I have spreadsheets. When I
Mm,
hear I have spreadsheets, people sit up and they get forward and they get excited and they think they're impressing me and they open up these spreadsheets and I say, "Wow, this is a piece of art. This is amazing. You have these great spreadsheets." And then the question is, when was the last time you were in it? Oh, well, I have about 6 or 7 months to catch up. When was the last time your spouse was in it? Oh, she hasn't been in it for over a year, just had a baby. It's like, okay, great. So you've got this beautiful, wonderful, artsy spreadsheet that's massive. And what are you using it for to keep track of what? Okay, let's assume for a second that it's completely up to date. Yesterday, you filled the whole thing in. Everything is super good and helpful and it's wonderful. Okay, so is there any human error in it? How do you know it's correct? Let's talk about that. What if you put in $1,000 instead of $10,000? What if you flopped a zero? What if you transposed a number? You're busy, you're going to do that. So then it's not giving you the right information. So, anyway, so then we got to talk about we need to get you into a system that one is going to learn what you teach it to do. It's going to give you categories you want to look at. If you want to look at self care as one giant category, great. If you want to look at self care as here's what I spent on nails, here's what I spent on pedicures, here's what I spent on certain vitamins, we can detail it out for if you want to. It's got to learn and be custom set up for you. Then you have to make sure again you're sitting down an hour a week with it. So basically I say let's take everything that you have, every checking account, every credit card account, every savings account, let's look at all of these statements and let's pull it into the system together, and it's all there in one place. I will set it up for you. I will custom make it for you. I will teach you 4 or 5 things how to use it, no more. We're not going to give you a system certificate. Now you know a brand new program. We're just going to teach you what you need to know based upon what you want to know. So everybody's different. I don't have a workshop that I give you. Okay, here's the 12 different workshops you got to go through from start to finish. I custom work with you to figure out what it is you need. And then we get it all put in there and then you're good to go. And then you have some emergency calls that you can come back and say, "Hey, the system went kind of berserk. It always has bugs. Let's get that figured out." So I am here to help you with that once you get in there. But again, you're going to be investing in a system and you're going to be investing with me, something that you're going to use over your lifetime. Not only does this system learn what you want it to tell you, it helps you keep up with it. It has a few quirks that you have to watch it. Hence, you got to spend your hour a week. You can't just let it loose and go. You can't
mm,
let it go on its own. You got to watch it. And you're going to have it for your entire lifetime and it can grow with you. So let's say you are just getting into real estate and you get 4 or 5 properties. We can add those 4 or 5 properties into your system. How much income is property A making? How many expenses does property B have? Oh, this isn't, we didn't realize we spent this much money on new drywall, this much money on a new HVAC. So again, you sit down with me, we create a system for you and we get you going. And it's very simple. I promise you that hour a week is all you need. Not all that time with your spreadsheets, not all that time before you go to bed thinking I don't have a system and stressing out. It's just there. Mhm.
yeah. Um, I love that. And you said it learns. So it is it
Yeah.
like AI based then?
No, so basically the only system that I use is QuickBooks Online
Okay.
for business. And I use that for personal use. And
Right.
the reason I do that is because it teaches people to look at their personal finances like a business, which is their most important business. We've talked about this before. And so making sure that that's what's there. think I've lost you. I'm gonna still keep talking, maybe. So having a little bit of internet issues. There we go. Okay. So anyway, so yeah, so let's see, lost my train of thought. What was I? Oh, and so the reason I use QuickBooks Online is one, it is super huge, it's super complicated, but that means that it has a ton of custom features with it and it can massively grow with you. A lot of people don't like it because it does some weird things. I actually like that because when it does some weird things, I teach you where to find them. And it's very, very quick. And so that way you are paying attention to your money. Did the system put it somewhere I'm not supposed to? The last time you checked, whenever you look at any sort of advertising, any set of any commercial, you see Facebook, you see X, you see Instagram, and you see Intuit. They're going to be around for a really long time. And most of the major institutions keep up with it much better than some of the other programs. So
I
that's the only one I
I
use.
love no, I love that. I think QuickBooks Online is awesome. I always when your
Mhm.
CPA or bookkeeper won't use the online one, they want to use the desktop. I
Yeah.
don't even know if that's a thing anymore, but I always thought,
Yeah, it's the yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
I think they always wanted to do that because they didn't want you to have access to it. So
Maybe.
maybe, and then
I'm
it's
not
harder to
totally sure.
transfer it to somebody else. Like if you decide you don't want them to be your CPA
Yeah,
anymore. Um,
maybe.
but so I love that accountability. I love getting it all kind of figured out. I love running your personal life like a business. All of that
Yeah.
we're in 100% sync with. Give me a. I would think that this is how my brain works with the abundance thinking. Um, is if I write down everything that I am spending, I get it all organized, and I'm looking at it an hour a week, I'm going to grow it. Like you're going to say, like if it's
Yeah.
rental
Yeah.
properties, man, I need to
Mhm.
add a couple more properties like this one that's really kicking
Mhm.
butt. Or if I own several businesses, hey, this one business, it's not doing that great, or this other one's kicking butt. And like it'll help me focus on the things I need to focus on to develop
Mhm.
more wealth, more time, more everything. So, give me a success story of somebody that came in, started, look at all of their spending, and then made some changes, and they had X success.
Yes. So, one of my very first clients, one of these days, I'm going to make sure that I'm going to pay him to let me use his name because he's absolutely amazing. And you guys have probably heard of him. Anyway, he comes in and he is just the spreadsheet king. He has got more spreadsheets than you can ever imagine. And usually he's getting up at 4:30 in the morning, filling out all these spreadsheets. He probably had, I want to say, maybe 20 rental properties, pretty sure. And he was a VP in a very, very big company, and his wife had a business, and they were just constantly busy and never knew what was going on. They just felt like they were in total chaos just because everything was all over the place. And there was a couple times when I would pull up his one of his spreadsheets and I'd click on a tab and I'd be like, wait a second, that's exactly the same thing you put in for the other account. And it was like, oh my gosh, I spent a couple hours filling in this spreadsheet for the same account. And I did it twice, not even knowing, that kind of thing. Anyway, long story short, we got him all organized. We got everything to a system for him. I taught him how to use it. It was a really, really big project. But long story short, not only was his goal to be more organized and have peace and be able to fall asleep knowing things were taken care of, he was looking for a way out of this very, very, very well paid
Mm,
job. And he thought he kind of had to hang on to it because he wasn't sure what was going on with all of the properties. So, long story short, about a year later, he said goodbye to the huge VP job because he knew what he was doing. He knew how many more properties he needed to make that goal that he wanted to make. So that was super exciting. So he went from this being obsessed and thinking he had this great system to realizing it was chaos to here's a great, clean, simple system. Everything is there. But not only did he see that system, he got to do what he wants to do. So now he's spending more time with his wife. He's doing, I believe he went into some life coaching
mm,
to help people. So not only instead of helping the corporation, he was helping what he was put on this earth to do.
yeah.
And that was very, very exciting for him and me too.
Well, it
Yeah.
sounds like, I know when you don't have things organized, whether it's your health, whether it's your money,
Hmm.
it's stressful, right? You said
Yeah.
chaos. Chaos
Oh,
is
yeah.
stressful.
Mhm.
And,
Yeah.
stress is the cause of every disease and illness that we get. So, like,
Yeah.
if you want to reduce your stress and you want
Hmm.
to get organized, reach out to Teshra, see if it's a good fit, and just check it out, because there's so many
Yeah.
people in the audience. I know she's hitting a nerve. Teshra is like going, "Oh, are you talking to me?" Because
Yes, I am. I
so
am.
many people
Yes.
are
But on the
unorganized.
flip side, yeah, there's a little bit of good thing. I'm more like, okay, come on, you guys, let's get your shit together. Let's get this done. Let's just. On the flip side, when you get all your stuff organized, there's this. You've had lack of hope before. I can't buy a rental property. I can't go to Italy. I'm never going to be able to quit my W-2 job. There's hope in putting it all together and going, wait a second. If I swept my Starbucks bill, if I cut it in half by 50%, maybe just maybe I'd have enough for a down payment, or I could get one of those insurance policies and I could start.
Yeah,
There's this hope and there's this places to start. And so no matter where you're at, and to me, that's the real bigger picture. There's this, like, oh my goodness, you can do this. You really can, but you got to know where you're starting from.
yeah,
So,
exactly. You have to have that accountability of, it's like saying,
yeah.
"Hey, I'm going to lose weight," and you don't get on a scale, right? Like,
Yeah.
or
How would you
yeah,
know?
or I'm going to
Yeah.
gain weight.
I love
You still
that.
got to get on the scale.
That's great. Yeah.
We got to know where we're starting,
Right.
right? What Nelson Nash
Yes.
used to say, a great mentor of mine, is he would say, if you know what's happening, you'll know what to do. So that's kind of
Yeah.
what you're saying, is most people don't know what's happening with their finances, and therefore they don't know what to do. If they know what's
Right.
happening, then they'll know what to do. And if you know what's
Yeah.
happening now, and you know what you want is your ideal situation, your vision, well, then
Yeah.
it's just a matter of creating a plan to go from where you're at to where you want to be, just like in fitness or
Exactly.
anything else. So
Yeah. I used to be a professional dancer, and I was fortunate to dance with Helene Phillips. You might know, she was a solid gold dancer. She was
nice.
the really, really beautiful tall
Yeah.
blonde. Anyway, we would be in practices in the studio, and she would just scream out. She would say, "Go where you need to go to get where you need to get." And because I was so short, if I had to be across stage, I had to book it. But I knew where I started from, and so it was a matter of, if I knew I had to be super far over, maybe I could scooch just a little bit more towards, so I had two less steps to cross that incredible shrine stage I was dancing on. Right. And so it's just really always stuck with me. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I love that. All right. Think of things
Mm-hmm.
that stuck with you, Teshra. What's the best advice anybody's ever given you?
Let's see. If you're a business owner or you're going into business, which is a lot of clients that I get, they want to quit their W-2 job and they're starting a business. The best piece of advice I ever got was hire somebody before you need them.
Mm.
And I did that. I hired my first assistant and I didn't have a clue what I was going to give her to do. I was literally having her sharpen my colored pencils so I could color at the end of the day for 15 minutes of rest,
Yeah.
right? But I did. And I started this learning how to communicate with her, learning how I would tell her to do something and she wouldn't do it. And it was because I didn't specifically tell her what she was supposed to be doing. And then setting up SOPs and figuring out to free up my time, so when I got really focused and when the ball started rolling in my business, I could go, oh, here, this is for you. And it was already set in stone. So definitely, if you're going into business or you're going into real estate, hire before you need
I
somebody.
love it.
It's
I
huge.
love it.
Yeah.
All right. Last
Yeah.
question. If God came down from heaven and only allowed you to retain the knowledge that you've received from one book, what would that book
Uh,
be?
it definitely would be the 12-week year.
Nice.
Absolutely. I mean, I get goosebumps every time I say it because, one, it talks about, I hate the word accountability. I love the word
Yep.
ownership. It's a huge shift. And I'm not going to be accountable and feel bad and feel like somebody's banging me over the head because I did not get up in the morning and do my exercise. But if I take ownership of it, I'm going to get up, or you know what? I didn't get up. So I need to filter and figure out, why didn't I get up? I have to take ownership of it. Yeah, love that word too. That's why we get along so good.
It, it
Is it?
is.
And then of course the other thing is, I'm a big believer in being a good steward of what God has given us. And money is a huge deal, but time is also a huge deal. If you say you want to quit your W-2 job in a year, well, why don't you back it up into 2 12-week years and let's get you done in 6 months. Let's just pack stuff in. Let's just not wait. And I can do it later syndrome. Let's get it done now. And then at the end of that 3 months or that 1 12-week year, you realize, you know what? I completely missed the mark. You haven't spent a whole year screwing up. You just stop, you refocus, reevaluate, and you start it again. So I'm just excited. Like right now, I feel like I'm on my second year. It's almost like grabbing time. So I'm so thankful for them for writing that book.
I love it.
It's
Michael Lennington, my good friend, will
yeah,
be excited that you said his book.
yeah,
And I totally agree with you. Michael's helping me as a consultant on my book
mhm.
Owner Shift,
Oh,
and he's a great guy and
nice.
super smart. And you're right. So I got
Yeah,
to tell you, my first
awesome.
interaction with the 12-week year was in like 1993 or four, something like that.
Oh my goodness.
And
Wow.
the
Uh-huh.
book wasn't written yet, but what they did is Michael and Brian, they would go to financial services offices, and they would teach this
Hmm.
concept of periodization, right? Which was
Yeah.
12 weeks at a time. And, they were
Yeah.
talking 12-week year. They just didn't call it that then. And
Yeah.
I still have that pamphlet from 1990,
It's
whatever it was,
does.
because
Yeah.
it was so impactful and it was so straight to
Uh-huh.
the point. And being a dancer or being in athletics, you
Yeah.
learn that you build up for a performance, then you take a break, and then you do it again, right? Like,
Yeah,
and,
but you keep
and
going. You know that graph that's in their book that talks about how you get to the bottom, and then if you don't keep going through all that hard times, you have to go right back to the top. I can't tell you how many times I was ready to throw in the towel, and all I did was open up the book and look at that graph and go, "I'm right down here. If I could just keep
yeah,
going." So, yeah,
I mean, there's so many things in life. I mean, about that and the graph. I mean, that's
yeah,
basically what the Bible talks about too. Is when you're
yeah.
in the valley, don't stop. Like,
Don't
yeah.
stop. Yeah, you
So,
gotta keep going.
no,
Yeah,
that's awesome. I love what you do because I'm not
me too.
naturally organized, and I have a person that I think loves me one day and hates me the next that does all my books because she.
And that's great. You have a
I have a
system, so
system.
that's
Yeah,
good.
my system
Yeah,
is her.
yeah.
Yeah.
That works. That works
So
too.
she's
So,
never said
yes,
to me, "Hey,
as
you're
long
spending
as you
too
keep
much
your
money
fingers
here
in
or there," but I know where it would be. Golf equipment would be the one that I don't want to know how much I spend on golf equipment. So,
Yeah, you told me about your golf shirt collection, so,
yeah,
mhm.
yeah, yeah. There was a funny Instagram post that said, "Counted my golf shirts, and look, I'm not this bad, but it said the guy said he had 92, and then he
Oh,
counted the ones
no?
that he actually wears, and it's 8. So
Oh gosh,
I
oh,
can
that's
relate
pretty
to
funny.
that
Okay.
because I always wear the
Okay.
same 5 shirts over and over again, I think.
Like,
But
yeah,
all right, Teshra. So one more time, give everybody how they get a hold of you.
sure.
Yeah,
Yeah, so it's at teshradoyou.com, and you can just connect with me there. Yeah. And I'd love to hear from you. I love to serve. I love to help people, whether they work with me or not. Let's figure something out that you're going to do to make a change. However, you want to go out and live your life like you want to.
I love
Mhm.
everything that we're talking about different subjects, but it's all interconnected because you're organizing it. I'm talking about building it and taking control of it, which is
And
what you're
yes.
talking about, taking control and taking
Yeah.
ownership. And
Yeah.
the
Mhm.
I mean, I just think that that's so cool. We'll have to do maybe a workshop on for the community to like
Yeah.
have people
I
sign
would
up
love
and
that.
just like
Yeah.
take the first step or something. I don't know. Let's think about that.
Yeah.
But
Definitely. Yeah. Cause I admire you because you see the much bigger picture and more of the visionary. And I really have a hard time grabbing a hold of that. I'm the details person, but that's why it's great knowing different people who can serve you in different ways and different stages of where you're at.
absolutely.
So, yeah.
All
Okay.
right. Well,
So,
thank you so much, Teshra, and
yes.
thank you,
Thank you,
audience.
Jim. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we're going
Yes.
to wrap this up like we do every week with the incredible words of Earl Nightingale and the strangest secret. So take it away, Earl.
Here's the key to success and the key to failure. We become what we think about. Now let me say that again. We become what we think about.
Thanks for listening to the Breakaway Wealth Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to this show wherever you're listening so you never miss an episode. If you want to start increasing your wealth building ability right now, go to community.createtailwind.com to join our free online community and get access to free, in-depth training designed to help you build real, lasting wealth. See you next week.